Good afternoon, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here, joining you from the newsroom to talk about this very hot and humid forecast. If you've spent any amount of time outside today, you know that it is incredibly hot, but that's to be expected during this time of the year. It is South Mississippi after all. But tomorrow, just a heads up, we are going to be under another heat advisory for most of South Mississippi, at least the 3 coastal counties, and the heat index likely going to be well above 100 once again. But taking a look at first alert radar this afternoon, really not seeing much in the way of rain. We've got a few little isolated showers in parts of Harrison and Hancock County, but other than that, not much rain to speak of. Doesn't look like we're going to get much relief from the heat and humidity today. So rain chances this afternoon are going to stay pretty low, and overnight tonight we're not expecting nearly as much rain. Temperatures this afternoon generally are going to stay in the 90s, and then we will slowly drop into the 70s overnight tonight. Again, a very typical August day for many of us on the coast. Looks beautiful though from our tower cameras. We've got plenty of sunshine and blue sky, but that always equates to some heat during this time of the year. 93 currently in Gulfport at the airport. We have a heat index of 102, but it's hotter in some other areas. 96 last we checked in Wiggins, 95 near Lyman, even seeing some upper 90s near Gaucher, Moss Point. No matter where you are this afternoon, it's hot. Factor in that high humidity. We've seen the heat index anywhere from about 100 up to 110. A few isolated areas coming in with the heat index near 115. Now, I will say those sensors probably a little closer to a body of water. Generally speaking, though, everybody's seeing the heat index above 100. Many of us seeing the heat index above 105, and it looks like we are really going to be doing that again tomorrow. So another heat advisory is going to be in effect for many of us on Wednesday. Temperatures in the low to mid 90s, and we are going to be seeing that heat index as high as 110, maybe even as high as 112. Once again, in a few spots. Summer not really showing any signs of slowing down at this time, at least over the next 5 to 6 days here in South Mississippi. So we do see some widely scattered showers and storms across the southeast. It just so happens that over South Mississippi, just not really seeing too much in the way of rain so far this afternoon. Now, that's not to say we can't get that later this afternoon. There's still the potential for a few isolated showers and storms. Some of those may have some heavy rain and some gusty winds, but just based off of what I'm currently looking at, doesn't look like a ton of rain. In Futurecast, not showing a ton of rain either this afternoon or into the evening, but doesn't mean that we are going to be completely rain free. There is still that chance later this evening. Overnight tonight, I'm not expecting as much rain. It's going to be another calm, humid, warm, muggy night. Temperatures dropping into the low to mid 70s by Wednesday morning. Tomorrow looks very similar to today. Temperatures low to mid 90s, heat index as high as 110. There will be another chance of seeing some hit or miss showers and storms tomorrow, but it does look like a lot of us are going to be missing out on the rain. A bit of a change in our pattern once we get into Thursday and Friday. Notice there, Futurecast showing a little bit more widespread coverage of the rainfall at that point. And it looks like the end of the week into the weekend, we are going to be seeing a bit more of a rainy pattern. We may need to increase those rain chances on Friday and Saturday. And part of the reason why we expect a little more rain later this week, well, it looks like we have a cold front that's going to be moving in from the north and almost stalling almost right on top of us by Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. Now, this is a cold front, but it's not really going to be passing through completely by the end of the week. We're just going to be on the south side of this front where we'll see some of that moisture pulling in ahead of it, and that's going to allow more showers and storms to develop. This is a heads up for your weekend plans. We're going to be seeing a bit more coverage of rainfall by Saturday and Sunday, it looks like at this point. Also, you may have noticed there that big area of low pressure off the east coast. That is Hurricane Erin, and that's also expected to bring some pretty significant rip currents to parts of the East Coast, even though Erin is not expected to make landfall in the U.S. Even though it's going to still be far away from land, still going to be feeling some of those impacts along the eastern seaboard. Now, as we see higher rain chances later this week, it does look like things are going to be a smidge cooler by Friday and Saturday. Nothing really cool about it, but it's going to be a little bit of an improvement from some of those mid-90s that we've been seeing here lately. So it's not going to be as brutally hot by Friday and Saturday. And if you do see more rainfall by the weekend, that's going to help you to cool down even more. So locally, that's what's going on here in South Mississippi, some of our pretty typical summertime weather. We also continue to watch plenty of activity in the tropics. Of course, we have Hurricane Erin, along with 2 other tropical waves that we are watching. We'll go ahead and start with Erin. It's been struggling a little bit today. Its structure more lopsided. It's been fighting some wind shear, some drier air, looks like has been entrained into it. And as of 1 o'clock, it's still a Category 2 hurricane, but you can even see there on satellite imagery, doesn't quite look nearly as powerful at what it was just a few days ago. The latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center has Erin remaining a Cat 2 as it moves a little bit more to the north by Wednesday and Thursday, and then it is expected to curve out to sea by the end of the weekend into the weekend. Again though, even though it's not expected to make landfall in the U.S., the East Coast, the Outer Banks in North Carolina, likely going to be seeing some significant rip currents over the next few days. Elsewhere in the tropics, we have 2 other tropical waves that we're watching, one of those being in the central Atlantic and another in the East Atlantic that just recently moved off of the coast of Africa. Because these have not really developed yet at all, forecast models have been all over the place. And so I know I've been seeing some scary images on Facebook and Twitter or X showing the potential for something to really explode out of these, but it's way too early to really make any determination about that. And even today, forecast models have kind of backed off a little bit on some of the development. So this is still very much a wait and see situation. We're in the middle of August. It's very common that we get these tropical waves to move over the open Atlantic. This is something we will monitor. So that tropical wave highlighted in orange, that's one that's a little bit closer to us. I'll show you generally the pattern that we're looking at of where maybe it's eventually going to go over the next week or so. And again, take this with a grain of salt. Things could change between now and in the future. Once and if it even gets a center of circulation, we'll be able to forecast it better. But it still looks like that big ridge of high pressure is going to remain in the central Atlantic. As it weakens a little bit, that wave is expected to curve up a bit more to the north and to the north and west. And then there's a chance that another area of high pressure may be developing more so close to Florida, parts of the Caribbean. Seems like this system may be slipping in between those 2 ridges of high pressure where it has a little bit of a weakness. And if this were to pan out, this tropical wave would primarily stay out to sea. Now, this is just one scenario. Again, I just want to emphasize nothing is set in stone at this point. This is very much a wait and see situation. We'll continue to keep you posted if we see any Gulf Coast threats within the coming days. But for now, we do not have any immediate threats to the Gulf Coast. We'll keep you posted if we see something that really raises our eyebrows. But for now, things are looking fairly calm. That being said, we're in the middle of hurricane season. We're getting closer and closer to the peak of hurricane season. It's going to be common to see these tropical waves move over the Atlantic. So again, just be on guard over the next several weeks. We don't have any immediate threats to the Gulf Coast at this time, but things may change over the next several weeks as we get into the heart of hurricane season. The next name on the list, if for something to be named, would be Fair Non, and then after that we have Gabrielle. Of course, Erin at its peak strength was a Category 5. Now it is a Category 2. Still expected to cause some rip currents across parts of the East Coast. Speaking of your marine forecast tonight, well, looking much more smooth here along the Mississippi Sound and even offshore in the northern Gulf. We're looking at seas at about a foot, maybe even less than that. Smooth to light chop expected this evening. Sunset set at 7:33, so that continues to get a little bit earlier. Looks like we will be seeing low tide throughout the evening. Low tide will be after the sunset, mainly for Bay St. Louis. High tide will be happening throughout tomorrow morning. Water temperature remains pretty warm in the upper 80s. Over the next few days, today we're looking at temperature staying in the mid-90s in the afternoon. It's going to be humid. Heat advisory will be in effect tomorrow, and we will see the heat index possibly as high as 110 up to 112. Once we get into Friday and Saturday, we may see more cloud cover, a little more widespread coverage of the rainfall. That's going to keep our temperatures down a little bit more. And again, for the time being, we do not have any tropical threats to the northern Gulf Coast. So time now is 3:14. We'll have another update on your forecast coming up today at 4 o'clock. Plus, the National Hurricane Center will also have the latest forecast for Hurricane Erin if you want to stay posted on that. So with that, I'm going to get ready for our 4 o'clock show, and hopefully you can join us there.